Good morning, everybody. It's Danny back from Deep South Homestead. And guys, I'm back over to cabin. I'm actually sitting on the steps. It's actually freezing temperature out here this morning. And the wind is blowing really bad. So I'm trying to sit here in the sun to make this as easy on me as I can. Because I don't want to really go inside the cabin if I can help it. Guys, I want to just take a brief amount of time today and I want to talk about a few things. We all talk about gardening, we all talk about getting ready, we talk about preparing this and preparing that. Guys, the time has become so short now that it's really scary. Really, 2022 is probably going to be the year that changes everything. I mean, like, I'm out here today. It is still freezing cold here in the Deep South. We've had some of the weirdest weather we've ever had. Weather is going to be a huge factor in the future. It's going to play a massive part in everything. I have told y'all for years now that the winters are going to get colder, longer. The summers are going to get more intense. This is about intensity, guys. What we have going on in our solar system is going to increase our weather problems. And yes, I do believe there's some weather manipulation going on, but more than that, our system out in the solar system is just doing what it does every so many years. And this has not happened in our lifetime, and we don't even have any information about this in the history of America because our country is just a baby. It's not like a lot of these other countries like China and Japan and Russia and all these other countries that's been over there, Israel and all, has been there for years and years, in Europe and places like that. America doesn't have a history going back. So we over here don't know or understand what some of these things mean. And the thing about it is, last year we were told that our temperatures would make it up to 124 degrees in the south. Guys, I had heat indexes here last year of 126. Now that is a heat index, that wasn't the actual temperature, but it was a heat index. And they're saying that this year is going to be even worse. And guys, if that's the case, it's going to be harder and harder for us to grow our own food. And that's why I'm telling people about greenhouses, high tunnels, all these types of things to try to get yourself into a place where you have some sort of a climate control over your food system. You know, I don't have choices. I don't have enough greenhouses. I don't have enough high tunnels to grow all my food to last me for a year. I have to grow outside. So what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to choose foods that grows in the field that are drought tolerant, heat tolerant, disease resistant. All these things is what I'm looking into for stuff for us to be able to survive the coming weather problems that we're going to be facing. And guys, 2022 will probably be the end year for lots of things. Well, not necessarily the end, but the beginning year for seeing problems like building materials. I've had to wait on my barn 4 months in order to have a barn erected. That is just the beginning of things to come. And I would have had to waited longer than that if I had not changed my mind about the color of the metal, because the color of the metal that I was after was stuck on a ship in the ocean somewhere out yonder, and they couldn't get it in and did not know when it was going to come in, so I had to change the color of my barn. Guys, this is what I'm talking about. These things are not going to get any better. Supply chains are going to continually break down, and it's not all going to be because of man. It's not going to all be because of the virus. A lot of it's going to just simply have to do with the simple fact of weather. The weather's not going to permit a lot of things. And the weather's going to damage lots of things, and that's going to mess with the supply chain even more. So if you have plans to do something, then by all means, make it happen now. I don't know how much more urgent I could be. That's why y'all have seen me and Wanda for the last 2 or 3 years doing as much as we could do here, because I knew in advance that this was going to happen. And I've just pushed and pushed and pushed, you know. I mean, I will admit I've burnt the candle at both ends, and I'm paying for it now. I mean, I've got my legs messed up, my body's breaking down. But I would rather have that happen to me right now than to get into a situation where I have nothing to fall back on and be caught with good health and good stuff and have nothing to survive with. I mean, this is what I've been trying so long, and people get on to us. They say, oh, y'all are fearmongers, you're beggars, you're trying to get people to buy this product, get people to buy that product. It has nothing to do with that. I explained this on the live stream the other night. My income is not YouTube. YouTube doesn't provide me with everything I need. And it's totally disgusting to me that people out there think that they know what goes on in our life and they have no clue. I personally have told them on the live stream the other night, I don't care if I ever do YouTube again. It doesn't matter to me. The only reason I'm here is because I want to help people. I want to show people ways, and lots of people go, oh, there's nothing going to happen. Well, you know what? Go ahead and believe that. I don't care, because you'll be one of the casualties. You'll be one of the ones out of the way for those of us who want to make it. And for those of you who say, well, if something like that happens, I don't want to be around, then you don't need to be around. I mean, I'm sorry that I'm being harsh, but you have to understand, I'm beyond all of this now. I'm to a point now where I only want to help those who want to be helped. I don't care about the naysayers. If you pass on, then you pass on, and I'm okay with that. And I know that sounds rude and it sounds cruel. Guys, the scriptures tell me, do not cast my pearls before the swine. God says, if you've got good information out there and there's people that needs to hear it, don't cast it out in front of the people who don't care. I'm looking for people who want to be helped and who want to make it through what's coming, who don't want to sit back and starve and have to depend on some so-called governmental, which is not even no such thing as a government. It's all corporations, to be honest with you. If you know anything behind the scenes, you'll know that governments are really not governments. They're corporations. And these corporations are trying to rule the world. And so I don't care anymore about people who don't want to know the truth. I'm going to continue to do what I do. I'm going to continue to show people what to do. I'm going to do my best of my ability to get the information out there and to keep myself online without being taken offline, so that there are for those out there who want to know what they can do, that's what I'm going to be working toward. And I know I've had to change Porch Time because, you know, let me put it to you this way. People who don't make videos, people who are not inside a certain clique of information, you have no clue what's going on. You can go on the internet and you can search out all the stuff you want to search, and 99% of it is propaganda. Because the powers to be have already censored the internet. Most people don't even realize this. It's just like being in North Korea or being in China or anywhere else. Those people have no clue what the real information is in the world. They only know what the government allows on the internet system. And they think that what they're seeing is the gospel of the truth. The same thing is already happening here in the United States. If you go to Google, if you go to DuckDuck, if you go to or whatever that is, and all these other things, and you type in stuff and you get this information and you go, oh, well, it says this, and this. That don't mean that it's even true. because they're only allowing through what they want the public to know. Just like back in the Dark Ages, they burnt all the books. They tried to get rid of all the information that was prior to that, and they rewrote a lot of history. They didn't want people to know this. They didn't want people to know that. They changed it. It's the same thing happening with the internet today. AI is so clever today that it's rewriting, rechanging everything in history. If you go online and read something, that's the reason I tell people, look, if you want to send me links, that's fine. Probably I'm not going to look at them. You know, I mean, I look at some of them. Wanda looks at more of them than I do. I don't have time because I know where the true information comes from. I talk to people personally. This past week, I've spent a whole week in conference meetings, online class type situations, guys doing where people are face to face with each other. I'm sitting there, I'm real FaceTiming with a person on the other end that's the head of a corporation or the head of a company, the vice president of a company, the CEO of a company, or someone who's inside the governmental system. I'm having a conversation with these people, and they're showing me their inside data sheets on stuff, and I'm like, this is not out on the internet. And they said, no, it's not going to be on the internet because it's not permitted to be out there. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, no wonder it's so easy for so many people to be fooled about what might happen. And guys, that's the world we're living in. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take what I find out and I'm trying to put it in layman's terms so I don't get thrown off and you get the message. I may have to say it in a riddle. I may have to say it in a Bible verse. I may have to say it in lots of different ways. But I'm trying to still get the message out. Now, I don't have to do it. I'm just doing it because I want to. I want to see people survive. I mean, we have seen nothing yet. In the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see things that you're going to go, oh my God, how is this even possible? And guys, I'm not being a fearmonger. You can call it fearmongering all you want. The bottom line is this: 99% of what I tell you is already wrote in the Bible. The Bible is not a fearmongering book. It's a book of wisdom. It's a book of knowledge. It's a book that tells us what to do, what to expect, how to get past it, where to put our faith, where to put our trust, and most of all, not to let it bother us, but to prepare for it. And just like I've always told you guys, just like Israel was in Egypt, let me put it to you this way. When the 10 plagues come upon Egypt, do y'all really think that it was all Moses causing these plagues? Guys, if you knew what went on in the binary solar system during that particular time in history, you would understand the plagues. You would understand that if they were put in a certain order, that they would line up with what happens when a binary solar system invades another solar system, and these things actually happen. God created that at that particular time. He told Moses to get to Egypt by this particular time and to do this on this particular time because he knew that that binary solar system was coming in and what it was going to cause. I mean, something simple as people go, oh yeah, but how can the moon turn to blood? I don't know if I believe that. If a comet comes through and the tail of a comet is nothing but iron in it, iron in the atmosphere mixed with, I'm not going to go into all the scientific background on it, but when you mix iron into the atmosphere up there, iron is red. That's how bricks are made. I'm a construction guy. If you want a red brick, you mix iron in with the clay. The more iron content there is in clay, the redder the brick is. There's nothing more than an iron content into the atmosphere, which when it passes in front of the moon, I'm just giving you a layman's terms of it, it turns the moon into looking like it's blood red. You can do the same thing with water. You can take water right there, you can take a pool of water, you can put iron in it, and the water becomes as if it was blood. It will come as red as blood. Guys, there's explanations for everything that God does. God uses his creation to get his points across. And we have to understand that. Is it supernatural? Yes, a lot of it is supernatural. But it's still done with things that are here. We are God's feet. here upon the earth. We have to understand that. And guys, I'm hoping the wind is not messing with this camera too bad. I've tried to put it in a location where it doesn't mess with it, but if it does, I am so sorry. I'm just trying to beat the elements this morning because it was perfectly calm when I sat down, and the old devil, he knows that I'm going to be doing this, and he tries his best to mess with me on everything. So guys, my point is being today. Time to prepare probably is, if you're just now starting, if you don't have it finished by 2022, you're really going to be in trouble. I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm tired of candy coating stuff for people out there who get their panties in a wad, and they start fretting and going, "Oh, I'm scared." Well, we're all scared, okay? Let's get past that. That's just life. It's time to take the wisdom that we're learning and begin to apply it and get beyond the fear stage. Let's turn fear into energy. One of the things they teach you in the martial arts. Let's turn fear into energy. And let's take that energy and let's use it to better ourselves. And let's use it to move forward with. And let's use it to prepare with rather than letting it overcome us. You look around you today, people are dying left and right, not necessarily from any virus or anything like that. They're just dying at young ages and all that. You know why? It's called stress. Stress causes the body to release cortisol in it, and cortisol creates fat in the body. Fat gets in the veins. Veins carry plaque to the arteries. Arteries, it gets to the heart. And it causes clogs and stuff to this nature. All this stuff. One of the worst things in the world is called anticipated stress. If you're anticipating something, the stress from that can be worse on your body than just being all of a sudden scared of something. People are dying from stress. The Bible says in the latter days and age, men's hearts will fail them because of fear. They're scared of what's going on because they don't know who holds tomorrow. They've not given themselves over to the Savior. They are trying to live their life as though they are in control. We're not in control. We will never be in control. And guys, trust in the Lord. That's all there is to it. I'm going to be doing a video here pretty soon on a couple of chapters in the Bible. And hopefully through this, I'm going to be able to explain a few things to you about how to deal with what's coming. And maybe it'll be a blessing to you. I'm not going to do it on Porch Time today. I'm not even going to go into it. But my thing on Porch Time today is, guys, the time is getting really, really short. I'm urging you to get your house in order. Get out of debt. I don't care what you've got to do. I don't care what level it takes to get yourself out of debt. Just do it. Don't sit back and go, well, I'm in 2 or 3 more years, I'm going to retire. You don't have 2 or 3 years. You just don't have it. If this world keeps going at the pace it's going, you don't have it. And lots of people go, well, I'm poor, I'm this, I'm that. And look, the Bible says the poor we will have amongst us always. I get that. I've been poor in my life. I totally understand it. I've been without a job. I've been without meals. I've been without electricity. I've been without a way to go to town. I've been all these things. God has allowed me to be there so that I understand what it's like to walk through the wilderness. I totally get that. Pray and ask the Lord, Father, show me where I can get food to stock up. If nothing else, get books on wild edibles and look at for your area. Now, don't just get one for the whole United States. Get one for your area. Go online, look for one for your area, and get those books, and go out and begin to look in the area that you live for those wild edibles. Now, be careful. Some of them are poisonous. That's the reason you've got to really be careful. And figure out what you can eat if something happens and you can't get any food, and all you have is nature around you. I mean, guys, it's just that simple. Wanda and I are constantly looking on our property and the land that surrounds us right here in our area and stuff like this, in the wild, in the woods. we're constantly figuring out, well, what is this? Or is this edible? I watch my cows eat certain stuff, and I'm like, I didn't know that was edible. And I go online and look at it, and it's highly nutritious. The animals know it. So that's what that's the point I'm trying to get here today. Don't give up. Christ never expected us to give up. He expected us to get down on our knees. And if you're like me, I can't get on my knees no more. But I do the best I can. I fold up and I'm going like, Lord, please show me how to get beyond what we're fixing to face. Show me what I can do where I'm at. Grow where you're planted. I'm not telling you got to move from where you're at. I'm telling you to take advantage of the situation where you live in and to do the best you can do where you're at. Because I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, if you hadn't moved by now, you probably don't have time. I'm just being honest. Unless you've got an awful lot of money and a lot of good connections, you probably don't have time if you don't already own a piece of property somewhere. Well, guys, I know this is a change. My battery went dead on my camera while I was sitting out doing porch time, and the winds started blowing so hard, and it got to be so crazy that it was so cold out there this morning. It's freezing, and the wind's blowing like 20 miles an hour. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to finish this thing up in my, I call this my sitting room. I'm sitting here looking at the cabin and the pond and everything, watching the trees just swaying. But to continue the train of thought, Scripture says when you see a fig tree begin to blossom, to know that summer is near. Now, we don't know the exact day or the hour or anything to this nature. But we do know, based off of things that's going on in the world, that the time is getting really, really short. And with that being said, we have to do whatever we have to do to get ready. And Wanda and I have spared no expenses this year. Some of the things we've done, I had to question myself, am I being foolish, about doing this? And the answer is, after doing a lot more study in the scriptures and things like that, I don't think that it's been foolish. There's some things we've learned this year. I woke up this morning, and I'm going to tell you something that's really weird about what happened this morning, to show you how things are changing. I got up this morning, I looked at the temperature, it was 33 degrees. And then in just an hour or two, it was 35. And I told Wanda, I said, maybe the greenhouses are okay because we still had the heat lamps on in them and stuff like this. And I said, when I went to feed the cows and I went to feed the pig and all this kind of stuff, I said, well, I'm going to make a trip by the greenhouses and check on them. The sun's already up. I drove up, got out, and I walked into the high tunnels, and I was like, a chill just hit me when I opened the door on the high tunnel, and I looked. Both of them were sitting, the greenhouse that Wanda uses and the greenhouse that I use, both of them were sitting at exactly 32 degrees. And the temperature outside was 35 at that point, and the sun was shining. And I was sitting there, I was like, how is this possible? How is it possible that it's colder inside that greenhouse than it is outside? The only thing I can think is everywhere I looked this morning, there was ice on everything. Literally everything had ice on it. And at some point during the night, it must have dropped into the mid-20s or something and froze everything, is the only thing I can come up with. Now, we haven't went back out and checked the high tunnels yet since after daylight this morning to see if there's any more damage. But what the point being this, what we've learned is that we've got to do something different, because all information coming in is that next winter is going to be even worse than this one. And if we're going to continue to grow our food in our high tunnels, we've got to come up with an alternate heat source. And if power goes out or anything like that, it can't be anything electrical. Gas will be too expensive, so it won't be worth that. And because there's so much land around us with just woods, probably wood is going to be the way we're going to have to go. And in order to keep everything economical, I've been doing lots of research on how to heat one of these things based on the square footage of it and keep it economical. And the answer that I've come up with so far is a barrel stove. I can buy a stove kit for around $75, and I can get 55-gallon drums for $40 or less, and I can get a pack of fire bricks for around, if I get the fire brick, I've learned if you line the whole inside of the drum with fire brick on the inside of it, that it holds a tremendous amount of heat in it. So probably what we're going to do is if we can find room in the greenhouses, that's the problem, because everything in it is pretty tight. But if we can find space in the greenhouses and room in them to do this, more than likely I'm probably going to go that route. And I may do something that I saw in the Amish community when I was in Pennsylvania learning from the Amish. And I might actually, I noticed they would put their stoves in the middle of their houses where I was at. They put the stove in the middle of the house, and they ran the pipe up, and they made long zigzags with it, going back and forth like that before they actually exited out with it. And all that stove pipe was single wall pipe, and it would all heat up, and it would put heat throughout their whole house and help to heat their whole house with just one stove. So I'm thinking that it's possible, and they put the barrel stove kit in the middle of the greenhouse and run a long pipe off of hangers hanging down, going out one of the ends. Now that's still just speculation right now. I'm going to do a little bit more research on it. But more likely that is something, and because we do that, that pipe will give out heat all down through that pipe. And as it burns and the smoke and the heat rises through that pipe, it will give off a lot of heat for those high tunnels. And hopefully it'll be enough to keep a high tunnel from freezing. And it'll be something we won't have to use all the time. But with that being said, if next winter is colder than this winter, we may have to use it a lot more, because technically this winter we've only had 5-6 nights that we've actually had to worry about anything freezing so far. The temperatures, the greenhouse has taken care of most all temperatures with just a light, except for about 5 or 6 days. Now that's 5 or 6 days more than we had last year. It's about 4 days more than we had last year. Last year we had 2 days. This year we've had 5 to 6 days. So this year we've gained a couple of more days, and we're not over with yet. Supposedly this coming weekend we're going to drop back into the low 20s again. So this winter we've had more cold days for the high tunnels. If next year's even colder, then it simply means that I'm going to have more of a heat source if I plan on keeping any type of tender vegetation in there. So these are just some things, guys, that I'm trying to throw out there to you to just help. I mean, that's all I'm doing. I'm just trying to help. We are maybe going to look into eating a little bit more fish than we eat, if it gets to be any worse than what it is. The only thing that we're concerned about is if the next summer is any hotter than what this past summer has been, then, we're kind of concerned about how will the ponds hold up. Will there be enough rainfall to keep the ponds static water level where it needs to be at? If we go into a drought, how long of a drought will we be in? These are things we don't have the answers to right now. But my ponds are spring fed from underground. When they were first built, before they even had time to settle in, they already filled up to a certain point, and which was more than enough to supply the fish with life. They were big enough. And then actually only in the last 4 months have they actually quit running over the spillway. And it's simply because in the last 4 months we just haven't had any rain. We've had an inch here or an inch there, but that doesn't do anything for a pond. You actually need a considerable amount of water to fall to do something for a pond. So these are things that we're taking into consideration as we move forward here on our homestead. So guys, today, don't take porch time as being some kind of a fear-mongering type porch time, because it's not. It's simply a porch time to educate us about some of the things that we may be facing. What we're going to be trying to do here at Deep South in the very near future is trying to show ways that we can overcome some of the obstacles that we're going to be facing. We have a video coming up, or maybe it just got put up. I'm trying to remember. We have so many videos scheduled out. I don't know if it's already come up or if it's going to be coming up, because I'm actually shooting this video on Sunday, so you guys know I'm actually shooting it Sunday morning, because next week is so booked up I don't have time to stop and do videos during the morning hours like I'm doing now and just sitting. So I'm taking advantage of my Sunday morning and doing this video on Sunday morning. But we're doing our best to try to educate people about how and what and where to do things. But this video we got coming up, or has already came up, is about the Remington solar greenhouse. It's a 10 by 10 greenhouse. It's on the hill over by the cabin. Y'all have seen it in previous videos. We worked with this company because we wanted to find a greenhouse that would fit in suburban areas, smaller areas, and you can get this in a 10 by 10 or you can get it in a 10 by 20 to help people have a place to grow food. And we worked with a company about getting financing for this thing. If someone can't afford all of it up once and you need to be able to finance it, the financing is there. Guys, it's in the link in the description down below. We're just trying to help people get as far along as we can, as fast as we can. It's not about making money for us. I don't care if you buy one or not. Like I told you in the beginning of the video, I really don't care. But for those of you out there who do want to be able to try to make it through what's coming, then it's there for you. It's not for everybody, but it's there for you. I mean, I'm sitting here right now looking at that Remington solar greenhouse over yonder, and it is completely covered over with moisture on the inside, because it's warmer on the inside of that greenhouse than it is on the outside of that greenhouse. And that tells me that when I start my little plants over there in the next week, they're probably going to do all right, because the temperatures in it are really, really comparable when it's cold. So guys, we love you and we appreciate you, and thank you for just being a subscriber to us. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Porch Time, because Porch Time is here for, it's our way of trying to say, this is what's coming. This is what we have information to. This is what we believe will happen based on Scripture, not based on man or anything like that, but based on Scriptures. And guys, most of what I teach you and try to tell you is all biblically based at somewhere in the Bible. And that's what we're trying to do, is to get that information out. Because anytime I get any information, I back it with the Bible. If I can find it in the Bible and it talks about it, then I'll share it with you. But if it's not in the Bible, I probably won't share it with you. It's kind of like, we got a lot of flack about the EMP shield thing. And guys, I don't care if you buy one or not. Really, I don't. There's no skin off my nose if you do or you don't. But the kind of system that we're going into with our planetary system here in the next few years, the fact that we may face a CME, a coronal mass ejection, is becoming even more probable than it's ever been in history, because of the way the magnetic field around the Earth is changing and the poles are changing. It's probably going to be more prevalent that we'll receive a CME than we will an EMP, because the solar system is no respecter of people. It just does what it does. And it has happened to the Earth before, and it may happen again. And this EMP shield I'm going to be putting on my home and doing a video on that for the company will protect your home against that. It'll protect your home against lightning strikes and all this kind of stuff. And that the lightning strikes alone would, if I'd have had one on years ago, would have saved me a ton of money, because I've been hit several times and lost a lot of equipment. So you do what's best for you. We're going to do what's best for us, and we're going to look to the Lord for our answers. So thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.